Have you looked at the price of snacks lately? It's easy to spend $30, $40, or even more every week on granola, crackers, and cookies. So while the baby is napping, I'm making 4 healthy snacks from scratch in under 2 hours to save money and stock our kitchen for the week. If your kids are always asking for snacks, this video is for you, so stick around. I just got the baby put down and I finally got a shower today. So now I'm going to start making some snacks for the week. It's one of the best ways to save money and still have nutritious food to eat. Some of the things I plan on making is some granola bar, or not granola bars, regular granola, so the kids can have some cereal or put it with the yogurt that I've been making that I've showed you. Some sourdough discard cookies, or wow, sourdough discard crackers. There we go. And then some breakfast cookies. I do plan on also trying to make some fat bombs because I feel like the kids could use a little bit more nutritious fats in their diets because we've been cutting back on those fattier cuts of meat, like, ooh, flies. Cutting back on steaks and all that stuff over the last few years. And so having good fat bombs would be good for them. We'll see how much I can get done in the next couple of hours on this Sunday afternoon. So I think I'm gonna start with the granola because it's an easy mix and throw. Then probably the cookies and so forth. This feels like a lot, but it does make a lot. So I'm gonna start the oven at 275. This granola recipe is really super simple, and it's something that I've adapted from Melissa K. Norris, and I will try and find the original recipe and link it down below for you. But for me, I am adding in some cashew pieces that I had gotten from Azure Standard, and I am chopping up some pecans because that is what we like to have in our granola. So you can always swap out nuts and fruits and everything like that to your liking. But for this recipe in particular, it was 3 cups of oats, 1 cup of chopped nuts, which is what I just did, a half a cup of honey or maple syrup, a 4th cup of oil, a half a teaspoon of salt, a 1 teaspoon of vanilla, half teaspoon of cinnamon, and then you're going to add 2 cups more of something like shredded coconut or extra nuts. And what you see me add is the shredded coconut and brown rice krispies, which I absolutely love and adore these. They will be the little snap crackle pop in their cereal that we love from our childhood days. So when that is done baking in about an hour, so about 30 minutes, I'm gonna flip it and then cook it for another 20 to 30 minutes. And once it's nice and golden brown, take it out, let it cool, and I can add any kind of after ingredients. So I can add any dried fruit, I can add chocolate chips, or just omit those until they're ready for them, which is probably what I will do because I have some kids that don't like dried fruit and some kids that do. So I think I'm gonna start the breakfast cookies just because when you're using fresh ground flour, you really need to let it absorb. And so I'm gonna work on that. So I'm gonna grind up some flour real quick. And hopefully it doesn't wake up the baby considering it's nap time. And since I'm doing a cookie, I would do soft white if I had soft white, but I just don't buy it. So I'm just gonna use hard white. Yeah, maybe I'll use spelt. Spelt's pretty good. And for about every cup of berries, about 1.5 cups of powder. I need 3 cups, so I'm just gonna do 2. This recipe was adapted from Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead, and I am using 3 cups of fresh ground flour. Like I mentioned, I'm using spelt on this day. And then I'd be adding 2 cups of oats, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, half teaspoon of baking powder and cinnamon, and a half cup of oil, 1 cup of honey, some vanilla, 3 eggs, and 1 cup of nut butter. And to that, you're also going to add about a fourth cup to a half cup of nuts, berries, chocolate, coconut, etc. And I chose chocolate chips on this day. Now the reason I am doing these particular wow, I can't talk today, is because they all have very similar ingredients. So I'm, as you can see, just kind of going with the groove of things. When I'm doing recipes, I'm not doing it very professionally, I guess you could say. I like to put it all in one bowl and call it good. I don't like to have one for the dry, one for the wet, and incorporate. I mean, I'm sure it does do better results in some ways, but egg squirt. But I don't care. The bottoms of these butters are always so hard. So I'm hoping I can actually get it out and use this. This is almond butter. Hopefully this rehydrates a little bit in this oil while it's sitting here. So that was about a cup. We're good. I need to make more vanilla, and I need to fill my little vanilla thing. So for time's sake, and I probably should have changed this. So I am absolutely notorious for always keeping the bread hook in the mixer because that is what I make the most of in my kitchen. And I always, always, always start out with the wrong thing. So if you've seen any of my videos, you may have noticed that in the past. And with this recipe, I just absolutely love making these breakfast cookies, or you can even just call them protein cookies because that's really what it is. There's no sugar, just the honey, and it's an amazing, amazing treat. And the kids don't even quite realize that they are getting protein and a good, healthy snack, which makes them want it even more, of course, right? It smells good. So I'm going to clean up this while this rests to soak up some of the liquid. And that way I know if I need to add a little bit more before I actually form them and put them into the oven, just because otherwise they're going to be cracky and dry. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of time. So of course, while I have the big jug of oil out, I'm going to fill up my other oil. It's just a time saver. I still haven't filled up my vanilla, but I will get there at some point. These cookies, the dough came out absolutely wonderful, and it's definitely quite sticky, but this was a very well hydrated dough. So definitely do not skip on the step of letting your cookie dough rest because it is imperative. I swear it makes all the difference. I've made these before when I didn't do that, and they were dry and cracking like I mentioned. Okay. So I'm going to increase the temperature for the granola so these can go in at the same time. And I will move the granola to the bottom rack because I'm impatient. And like I said, I only have a couple hours to get all this done with the baby sleeping. One day I do hope to have 2 ovens, but that is probably not in our future plans. So this is just something that I have learned to do, which is swapping things in and out, making them work with this one oven. But that said, that is also why I have that smaller Breville oven off to the side in the kitchen, so that if I did actually need a smaller second oven, I could use that. It has been a lifesaver, especially with air frying things like vegetables and stuff for dinner. It doesn't heat up the entire house like this oven would. One day, if I can't have 2 ovens, I of course would just love a ginormous oven. But I digress. So this is a vanilla fat bomb. If you are unfamiliar with this is from a keto quote unquote diet cookbook. And this is something that I even made for my oldest child when we were doing a gut health reset. She was on no sugar, no gluten, no food dyes, all the things. And I would make her this. And within 6 months, we were able to heal her gut. So even if you're not doing keto, something like this for your child could be beneficial. This is what I would take her to school when she went to public school on birthdays or anything like that. Her teacher was a gem and would give me the heads up to have something special for her. Y'all, as I was filming this, that piece broke off, and I noticed that even more of this food processor is broken. I am up in arms with this food processor. I have bought so many parts for it. It just keeps breaking. Please tell me your favorite down in the comments below so I could check it out. But I am doubling this recipe on this day. And so the original recipe is 1 cup of macadamia nuts, a fourth cup of coconut oil, a fourth cup of butter, ghee, or coconut oil at room temperature, 2 teaspoons of sugar-free vanilla, 2 tablespoons of powdered swerve or erythritol, and a few drops of liquid stevia. I can't talk today. And just puree the macadamia nuts first and then add everything after the fact. And I really wish that I had had the candy molds that I have used in the past for it, and you will see why later in this video. But you make do with what you have, right? That's part of being a frugal homemaker and learning to get by with what you have. So after you put it in the container that it's going to be in, you put it in the fridge for no less than 30 minutes. I had it in there for the rest of this food prep day. And as you can see, those cookies came out beautiful, better than the last cookies I've showed you. And again, these were absolutely delicious. My kids have already eaten half of them, and it's only still Sunday afternoon. So let me say that I would double or triple this recipe, and it's already a very large recipe. Considering it comes from Jessica at Three Rivers, I would expect nothing less. So now I am getting ready to start my sourdough herb crackers. I will link the recipe below for you. It's really simple. You can also make this with some kind of cheddar cheese to make it more of a cheesy cracker instead of the herbs, or with the herbs. Either way, it absolutely comes out delicious. I haven't made them in quite a while, and I was having a little bit of trouble this day. I'm not sure what it was, but I couldn't really get the texture that I wanted for the dough. You'll see shortly that I do kind of have to put it all back together. It's just pretty liquidy, and I did let it set. On this day, I do a tablespoon of garlic powder and 2 tablespoons of Italian herb seasoning and about a tablespoon of the salt, because we like our herbal crackers. And I just don't have the capacity for always shredding up cheese right now with my food processor not working for me. So on this day, I did end up adding probably an entire extra cup of fresh ground flour. It's usually a 1-to-1 ratio, but even after letting it sit, like I said, it didn't do very well. So the granola has cooled now, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in a jar, and I really did over expect that it was going to be more than it was, and I don't know why I did. But if you are not going to be using it as cereal, or even if you are, you can start adding in the dried fruit or chocolate or anything extra that you wanted to add. If you notice, this dough is quite sticky and still very, very liquidy. So after I make a mess, I make the executive decision to put it back and keep adding in flour. It did finally come together. And on this first round, I forgot how much this actually spreads. So a lot of it does spill out in between the parchment paper, which you will not be able to do this without parchment paper or something between you and the rolling pin and to get it onto your cookie sheet. So please don't try and skip that. The first time I did this, I didn't realize that, and I was in tears because it was just so sticky and not the best. But I will say, I was able to make this the thinnest I ever have making these crackers, and they came out crispy and, of course, delicious. And again, my kids are already ransacking them. So, the lesson for me today is that my quote unquote week's worth is not going to be as such when there's 5 children that are always hungry around me, loving the snacks that I make. I do add some extra salt on top, and you saw that I did use a pizza cutter. You do not need anything fancy to make crackers. Please don't just go out and buy something if you don't have the money for it. I want to try one of these. It's a small one. But look at that. Oh, wants my face. There we go. Anyway. That's good. As you can see, one of my children has already gotten a paper towel and asking for a snack, and they have had several at this point in the evening as I am voice-overing this video. You can also tell that my oven does not cook evenly at all, and that is the Samsung products that I am dealing with, but I digress. These, like I said, were very thin and crispy, and I am still letting them cool currently before I put them into a glass jar so that they don't condensate and get soggy on us. But that does not stop the family from snacking on them as they are sitting there. So these fat bombs, I really wish I had found my candy molds because as you'll see in a minute, they really just need to be popped out of something. They do not hold their shape very well. It is a mess, but it is a mess that will still be eaten, and they are still delicious and nutritious for my children. So I would not necessarily call it a fail, but I would definitely say do not make these unless you have some kind of silicone mold. I have used muffin molds in the past, which worked great. You just don't fill them all the way up. You only fill about maybe a quarter of the way in the bottom of it, and that works fine. Do not do what I did. I got a good amount of stuff done in a couple hours. It's not quite 4 o'clock yet. I gotta start making dinner, so I'm gonna stop. And I think I got everything done. So I got cookies here. Some of these have already been eaten. They're delicious. I got only about a half a gallon of the granola bar. How do I keep saying that? Of the granola. So if I wasn't doing everything else, I would have done a double batch to fill this, which I probably should have done. But there's that. And then I have crackers. So this is only the first batch, and these would be really good if you wanted to make them into your little Cheez-Its by adding the cheese or anything like that. I will, once these completely cool, they will also go in a jar, but not beforehand because I don't want the condensation. I don't want it to get ruined. So, and then you saw the fat bombs that I did. If I can find my candy molds, it would go a lot better. They still taste great, and they're just going to be really messy, but it'll be added fats for my children, and that will be good. My dog is down there drinking water. Sorry for the noise. This is why I do voiceovers, but I don't know what I was thinking today. So, there you go. This is not a bad afternoon snack prepping on a budget. Pretty much everything, especially these crackers and granola, is stuff that you're already going to have on hand. Crackers like this would probably cost an arm and a leg in the store these days, just because of the ingredients that we used and because everything's just expensive right now. So, not a bad haul.